This is Legally Golf, where we mix law, pop culture, and the occasional chaos of real life. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Brooke Goff, lawyer, businesswoman, and professional truth teller. Buckle up, this isn't your grandma's legal podcast. Today on the show, we have Tracie and Cheryl. You might know them as the Aunties, but I know them as two women who have seen it all and still have the best sense of humor about it. Tracie and Cheryl are here, wise, hilarious, and maybe just a little bit dangerous with a microphone. Grab a drink, this one's gonna be fun. Next on the show, we have two of my favorite WNBA supporters. I'd name all of their jobs, but I think I'd be here half the show with what you guys have done. Super successful power women that show up every day, not only for themselves, but for other women in sports and pretty much anything or in anywhere where women belong. So Tracie and Cheryl, welcome to the show. Thank you. All the way, by the way, from Texas.
That's right. Happy to be here.
So I think that there's many people that are going to recognize your names or recognize you, but I feel like you are the people that should have like 20 million followers and growing. So you guys have grown super quickly.
True.
But you are the people, this is the podcast where people are going to listen and they're going to be like, I want to dig and find out more about them. And how did I know about them? How did I not know about them before? Okay. So that's my goal here, is I want to tell your story. And it's awesome. And obviously if you follow you guys on social, you guys document your story. So I think it's cool to just have a little intro with you guys. So talk to me a little bit about how you met, because it's a great story.
I do not tell the story. I'm going to chime in with my own, parts of it.
Probably the question we're asked most. How did you meet? And it's funny because our family of followers, they never stop asking the question. They say, we just want to hear the story again. So you can start, baby.
Go ahead.
Who's told the story in the past every time?
Usually me. Well, I'll start it. She chimes in. But, we did something really funny. One time, I just told the story with no input. And then the next time, T told her version. And so that was a lot of fun to see.
See, this is Angie and I. I'm seeing my wife and I right here. This is what we do. I'm like, no, you, and then I'm telling it, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's what she normally does, but
She'll start and I'll just take over.
All right, let's see it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I started following her on Facebook. We became friends. We were friends on Facebook for 10 years. And in essence, we had a lot of mutual friends, and she had a really successful business, still has it. And I was like, her work is so beautiful. I really want to just kind of check into her work. And so I started following her on her business page, and then landed, I don't know why I sent you a Facebook friend request, but I sent her a Facebook friend request, and we were friends for 10 years. And we just, during that time, we never met. We just liked each other's posts. We would comment here and there, a couple of private messages, happy birthday, but nothing out of the ordinary. And then one day there was a huge storm in Texas. I lost all power for like 3 days. I had no power, no water, no food. And I posted on Facebook, and I was like, day 3, no power, no water, no food. And I looked pitiful. I looked
terrible. Did you
terrible.
say, come save me?
I didn't, but I did look pitiful. And at 3:00 in the morning, she sent me a message. And she's like, hey, listen, I can tell you live close by. I have power. I have food. If you can just get here, I'll feed you. And now, we don't just go eat at people's house we don't know. I didn't know her. So I wasn't going to just go eat. But I was hungry, you guys. I was hungry.
3 days, no power. I mean, it's pretty, It's desperate times.
I'm telling you.
She had on an orange hoodie in the dark, in the cold. And she was pitiful. And I'd watched her for 10 years. And I just thought she was so beautiful. And I loved her eyes. And I just admired her. And that 10 years gave us an opportunity to kind of get to know one another, without ever interacting. But it was beautiful because I got to see what she did for a living, and I got to see what was important to her by what she posted. She knew I had kids. She knew everyone I'd ever dated. It was just, it was, she felt very familiar to me, though we hadn't met. So it was, just natural for me to say, I can feed you, because I'd been cooking. I cook all the time. And so I had nothing to do, and it was warm in the house. And
so I slid down the hill, Brooke. I slid down the hill, ice and all. And she came down with all this food. And it was just the start of something beautiful.
You guys lived close together at this point? I mean, I'm hearing a hill, but I assume there's probably more than the hill, right?
Yeah, we literally were not even a half a mile apart, a quarter of a mile.
really
We were
hill.
blocks apart. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I knew we were neighbors because what she would post on Facebook, I could tell that our views were the same. So, all of the South was frozen over, just like Dallas was. And so I knew I couldn't help people in Frisco or, different areas, but I knew I could help her. And so I said, if you can get here, I can feed you. And so she slid down the hill, like she said, and I got all dressed up, Brooke.
Sure did. And you made like the Sunday sauce and all the good stuff, right?
She put her finger in it. She put her love potion.
Extra cheese.
The
I don't
love
know what
potion.
I
It
put
was
in
the
the
love
chili.
potion.
Yeah, the love potion
Extra
went
perfume that day. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, 3 days with no power changes a lot of things in the world, right? So we had a stint here. We had 6 feet of snow-ish fall and in October of one year, and we lost power for a few days. So I feel your pain, but nobody brought me food. Nobody invited me for food, and I was on a hill. I could have.
And Brooke, the power came back on, and she kept sliding down that hill.
She's still sliding down that.
I'm telling
Still
you.
sliding down the hill.
But it really was a start of a beautiful friendship, and we really are most proud of that because we became friends and spent lots of time together, getting to know each other. And then next thing you know, we were married, and here we are.
There was a lot that happened in between.
Was there though? Because women, same sex, we have a
U-Haul.
reputation.
Yeah,
We
I know,
like
yeah.
U-Haul second date. Is that what they say? And it's pretty true in some regard. But again, like nobody invited me for dinner when I lost power, so I'm kind of offended now. And I would have slid down a hill for it. But I want to talk about that. So there's an age gap, right? I don't find it that offensive. People talk about it with you guys, but I don't find it that offensive at all. Like how much of a gap is it?
12 years? Yeah, 12 years.
I mean, do you feel like, I feel like with women that doesn't really impact relationships as much as heterosexual couples with males and females. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, we don't really have any. There's no.
We don't have any
glaring
issues with it.
issues or anything with the age gap. In fact, a lot of people don't even know that there's an age gap if they don't know us. They say, "Well, now
who's older?"
Because we have a tendency
You
to
guys
look a little
both look
younger,
fantastic.
and
Thank
my
you.
baby looks young, takes care of herself, and so yeah, it's not an issue in our relationship.
I have a 17-year age gap with my wife, and the only thing I hear about is Botox, plastic surgery, whatever it is, so that she can make sure that people can't tell. Nobody picks it out, but so she can't tell. I think in a nice age gap like what you're describing to like 12 years, I think it adds another little element to the relationship.
I think it does too.
It keeps being with somebody younger keeps everybody young. Being with somebody older keeps us mature. So right. So I think that in especially in a same-sex relationship, I think it's something that's really cool. And you had said that you guys were chatting. So prior to your relationship, had you been with women before, both of you?
Yeah, we both had been with women, but I'd only been with women. My wife had been married before, so you can speak to that.
So was that conversation, the initial conversation, how? I think a lot of people that are in your shoes and that they're like, how do I broach this? Like, right? Like, and the older we get, the more uncertain women become. Like, how was that kind of broached with you guys? Because that's really, you guys take a stance for women, especially same-sex women, and saying, listen, like we're putting our lives all over the place and you hate us or like us, one or the other. But how did that come together for you guys?
That was one of the beautiful things about the 10 years where we got to watch one another. She already knew that I'd had an important relationship with a woman.
Oh, sure.
And that was actually a mutual, we kind of traveled in the same circles. And so I felt comfortable from the beginning that, it was going to be just fine. My life, my past, my history. And she knew I had kids and all of that. So we got to talk about it, but it was never an issue or something that I felt, afraid to share with her. So.
And I think that that's really powerful and important because there are a lot of women that are, above 40, above 35, and they're like, if I'm interested in somebody, like, how do I broach this issue? But I think social media has helped us, right? A little bit. I mean, damn, when I was younger, it was like, flip a coin and maybe not, and be ready to run real fast. But, bring a pair of Air Jordans with you on the first date and like hope.
Run.
But yeah, and then hope you can run faster, right? But so as to your lives, and we kind of got into that, like your social media is amazing. But I have no idea how. Do you have like a camera crew that follows you? Do you guys do it yourself? Because it's so
I wish.
funny. Like it's everything everybody wants to say that they don't, right? Like your face in some of them when she's dancing is hysterical. It is. So how does this whole, well, one, how did you guys really come to this idea that we're going to share our life on social media? And then how is it that you're able to do it the way you do it?
That's a really
That's
great
a
question.
great two questions. Great questions.
Do you want to start? Or do you...
Well, you were on social media, so I think you should take that part, and I'll take the second part.
Okay, girl.
Okay, girl.
I was already on TikTok. I joined TikTok during the pandemic. And so I did little, TikTok dances, little silly stuff, and I did motivational things. And so then one day, but I never talked about my sexuality, my relationship, none of that. It was all just very surface level. And one day I posted a video of my wife and I. It was 8 seconds long. And it was just about how we went from friends to being married, and it went crazy.
In
it blew
3
up.
photos.
And I said, baby, like about 30 minutes in, I was like, this video is going viral, and we need to talk about this. And she's like, what is it? And I said, are you ready? And she's like, what do you mean? I said, are you ready? And she said, I'm ready. Because we knew in that moment, either we were going to capitalize on this viral moment, or we could, like so many other influencers, get a viral video and just keep moving to the next thing. And we decided in that moment that we were committed to using this platform in a way that was going to speak life into people, about living a big life, motivate people, seeing what's possible for people who are older, different generations, different ethnicities, races. And we decided to go for it. And we did say though, if we are going to do this, it's important that we are 100% authentic in who we are, or we're not going to do it. So I had a choice. I was going to have to live out loud in a very different way than I'd ever lived before.
That was the second question too.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you answered it.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
What else do you want to say about that?
I was just going to say that when we started, we really didn't know what was coming, but we knew that we wanted to just turn on the camera any day, any time, or any place and be ourselves. And if we couldn't do that, then there was no way we could sustain, a channel, right? Because it would be performative, it would be work, and we wanted it to feel natural. And so that's what we do. Like we turn on that camera and we're live, in front of the world. And I think that's what the draw has been with a lot of our followers, because they tell us that they don't find a whole lot of just, what's the word, baby? Authenticity and just being completely open. So that's been the draw. But that was a decision we made from the beginning. If we can't do it like that, we're not going to do it. And when she came to me and asked me if I was ready, I had been very ill. I just got out of the hospital six weeks before. I had a thyroid storm, which was life-threatening. And so I was having trouble putting together sentences. So when she said that, I thought about it for a moment, and I thought, I'm supposed to be here. We're here at this time for this reason. And so I knew that I was going to be able to do it. So it was challenging in the beginning, but my first word on the live was no. So that tells you something.
I mean, yeah, we all have our roles in our relationships. There's the no and there's the yes, right? Like that's how it goes. But I think it's cool because whether they're scripted or not, in some regard, I'm not suggesting they are, but if they are, I mean, there's got to be like a few of them where you have to do it multiple times. They come across so authentic. Like you wonder in your mind, is Cheryl really like that? Or is Tracie really like that? But then you watch enough of your videos, you're like, that is exactly who they are. Like it's actually hysterical. And I think that another big thing with you guys are proud of what you've built. You guys are successful women, right? You guys have put we'll talk about the convertible, right? So the convertible is amazing.
Thank you.
What is it?
It's a Bentley.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking to you about how in Connecticut, it doesn't make sense. I think when I see people driving Bentleys, convertibles, I'm like, why do you have that here? It's too cold. But then you had said, well, I don't drive it in the summer.
Right. Because it's so hot in Texas. So it's the same thing.
A lot of people don't they look at that kind of stuff like the G-Wagon and that is flashy, but Is that what you're trying to do? No.
Absolutely not. You know, I think, again, when you're talking about living your authentic life and being your authentic self, you're showing up as you. And people don't know our necessarily know all of our backgrounds. Like, came from very humble beginnings, and never in a million years would have imagined that I would have the life that I have right now. And so when you do that and you put in the work and the effort to achieve what you do, what's wrong with just showing up as who you are? This is my car. I'm not, walking around saying, hey, look at my car, look at my car. It's like, this is what I drive. This is where I live. And I've worked my ass off to get it. And in many cases had to work 10 times harder than someone else to get what I was able to accomplish. And so we may look flashy, but we're regular folks, just having a regular life and living, authentically.
A fun life. You guys have a fun life. And that's what everybody should strive to do. I feel the same way. You go and if I pay $200,000 for a car, and some people are like, oh, I could never do that. I'm like, why?
Yes, you can.
It's real fun. You just pick out the car you want. You go spend the $200,000 on, and you're done. Like, I don't feel guilty about that, right? Like, to your point, the decisions you guys have made in a professional element have opened you guys up to be able to do that. And I want to talk about your professional lives because those are just as interesting as everything else. So we'll start interior design, but beyond that, because some of your videos, like, you're kind of doing GC work in there too. You shake your head. So I do some house flipping, and I can't hammer a nail. Like, I can't, right? Like, I know how things should cosmetically look, but you have a real understanding of the inner workings of it as well, right?
The construction aspect, yeah. So I understand how it's supposed to be done. I'm not, swinging a hammer, but I'm right there with them.
What is one of the coolest projects that you've gotten to work on?
It was definitely a job that I refer to as Beverly in Dallas, and Beverly is the most prominent street in Highland Park, which is the kind of posh area of Dallas. And I was hired by the builder, the developer, to design this house from the ground up. So normally I'll go in and I call it interior architecture because I'll change everything inside the structure. But this particular time I was hired to design it, from the ground up. And that's a very traditional area, that neighborhood, but he wanted to do something modern, but that didn't stand out like a white box. And so I had to pull from everything I've done over the last 40 years. And you watched it. That's when we first met. And I've never been so inspired. And for me to do the plans and take it all the way through to the city to get the plans approved, which is a big deal in Highland Park, I was really super proud of that. It definitely stretched me in ways that I hadn't been stretched before.
What and I know that there was some talk about you being her quote unquote assistant and some. Do you help out a lot? Like,
I'm still interviewing, Brooke. I'm still interviewing to be
She hasn't been hired yet, bro.
Yeah. Very, very selective. Right?
I do
very
help
selective.
some, but I'm telling you, she's taught me so much though, because I learn a lot of the terminology, and I go on job sites with her. I do some content too when I go, but I've really learned a lot, and I think I've been able to help in some ways. What'd you say? What ways? She's like, girl, you don't help me.
From you. I'm taking this home. This is the conversation. I'm like,
No,
okay,
seriously.
Ange,
No,
in some ways, okay. What ways do you think? You flip the coin. That's pretty good. So we're waiting for your answer.
I know. She's learning, and it's a lot of fun to be able to share something that's a different language for her. And her work is a different language for me, though there's leadership in it. There are all kinds of things that, we all can, add. But in my world, it's very specific. There is a language. So that's the very first thing I started teaching her in the videos. We were having fun, but it was the vocabulary. It was the language. And I've always said that design school teaches you the language of design. That's it. The rest of it is in you and you hone it. So, so she has to learn the language first, and then we'll see what's in her.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my favorite part is going on a site with her to a job, and there are like 10 guys there, general contractor.
She's
there's
bossing them all
all
around.
These trades that are there working, and she's like, no, I said I wanted this.
Yeah.
This dimension is not correct, and I'll need you to fix it by the time I come. And she has her camera. She's like, see, this is not the right color. I told you I needed to see that, and I want you to bring new swatches.
Yeah, but we're not talking about color.
I know, but I'm just saying. Like,
That's
just
the very
different
last
things.
and the easiest
Maybe
thing.
I'm just telling them what you say, okay?
I'm just saying.
So like all those kinds of things, and I'm like just sitting here like, yeah, that's mine. That's mine. She's mine.
It's really interesting because I work in a man's world, right? It truly is. And they think I'm coming with my color swatches when I show up, right? That's the very last thing. And so I listen to them first. They're having their meeting and I kind of just listen because I'm basically sizing them up. They've already sized me up before I've opened my mouth, right? And then I start speaking and it just changes everything. You know, they stop and they stop dismissing me and because I've been doing this forever, Brooke, forever. And so there's not a whole lot that I haven't encountered.
Yeah.
You know?
We want to see more of that. Are you taking requests? We want to see more of that on social stuff. We want to see more of that.
Okay.
That's awesome. I loved the video that you guys posted of the two of you guys in one of the houses you were recently doing. And the finished product on that would be cool if you posted that too, because we'll all get a little inspiration from that. But we also have education in the mix here too, right? So again, two completely different backgrounds, but super successful. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're currently doing and what you've done?
Okay. Started as a school teacher. So I went to school because I thought I was going to be Oprah, the next Oprah. So I went to school, did broadcasting, journalism, and then I decided I was not going to be Oprah. And so I wanted to teach. I've always wanted to teach. And so I started teaching and about 30 years ago, started as a teacher and went through, middle school teacher, elementary teacher. I loved teaching. And one of the reasons why I wanted to become a teacher, I'll tell you a little quick story, is when we moved to Texas from Oklahoma, my mom was promised this big job, and we were very impoverished. And so I'm thinking, okay, great, this is a great opportunity. I'm 12 years old. We're going to Texas. My mom's going to have this big job. I was bused to a school because they had to segregate. They had to integrate blacks into this predominantly white school in Dallas. That was in 1985. That was not that long ago, right?
No.
So I remember going to this school, mind you, here I am, this little black girl, had to be on a bus for an hour to go to this school, this white school, majority white school, and I sat in the back of every single classroom, period after period after period after period. And I will tell you, not one teacher ever uttered my name. I never heard my name mentioned in a class. Not, Tracie, what do you think? I sat in the back. I was quiet. No one noticed me. And I remember thinking at 12, I don't want anyone ever to fall through the cracks like I did, to feel like I felt in a classroom. And that really did drive me in that moment to say, I want to do this, to teach. And that became my life's work, is to make sure no child fell through the cracks. And no matter their age, their race, their background, their citizenship status, any of that, every child deserves equal access and an opportunity to really do something big in life. And so I started as a teacher. I became a principal and then went to become a principal supervisor. And then my most recent position was national superintendent at a pre-K network of schools. And so I oversaw learning for 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds across the country for a nonprofit corporate organization. And last November, I told my wife, I said, baby, I think it's time that I transition from that. Now, I know I look good, but I'm old enough to retire. So I was like, I think I'm going to step down. In that moment, I had nothing planned, Brooke. Nothing. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have my next. I was like, I think it's time for me to do something different. It's time for my next. And didn't know what that was. And so to this day, I'm not in the education space. I have a leadership consulting firm that I'm running because leadership transcends organizations. I'm doing that and then focusing on our social media and our brand right now. And so that's pretty much my work. So taking everything I've learned in the last 30 years about running an organization and leadership and connecting with people and putting it into our brand right now. So
I think both of you are super focused in the leadership realm, right? And your social media comes off that way. I know that, Cheryl, a big point for you was right after COVID when, and we don't need to talk about prior relationships, but you at one point had a relationship with Herschel Walker, right? And after COVID, he had run for political office, right? I read this and I had to read it again to make sure I actually understood what I was reading. Like, what was the degree? Why did she feel so compelled to speak up? Like, the relationship was over. Like, sometimes you need to just, it's over, walk away. The most selfless thing I think I've seen in a long time is how you approach that situation. So I want you to talk about it a little bit if you feel comfortable, because I think what happened to you and then what you did is so inspiring and powerful. And you didn't do it to help yourself. You did it to help everybody else. So if you feel comfortable, if you can talk a little bit about that.
I sat like the rest of the country and listened to the stories of these women. And I saw how they were treated, which didn't surprise me. And I thought to myself, I know they're telling the truth because I've been there. And I could not sit still and do nothing. And one of the reporters that I'd been talking with that I trusted, because my phone was ringing off the hook, he asked me a question, which was a turning point for me. He said, Cheryl, in a year or 10 years or whatever in the future, if you're asked a question, I can't say it. It's not coming out. Hang on. This happens to me. Sorry. Sorry. It does. In lives, it happens all the time. He said, is there a point in the future? Because this is going to happen now. And you can either say something and speak up for yourself and these women. If you decide not to do it at some point in the future, do you think you'll regret it? Will this be a regret you live with? And it was immediate because we'd been on the fence. We talked about it. Should I say something? Should I not? And in that moment, I knew. And I said, absolutely, I would regret it. And T was out of town. You were actually, you were interviewing for the position, the national superintendent's position. So I was by myself. And it was daunting, honestly, to have lived everything I lived and gotten past, buried it. It was gone. I had a new, beautiful, perfect life. And to think about what that could mean for my wife, for me, for my kids. And but when he asked me that question, I knew that it was the right thing to do. And I called T and we discussed it briefly. And she said, I support you, whatever you decide. And that's when the story broke. So
you were, I assume, asked questions from the reporter. And I mean, you went into some detail.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In that. And you, again, could have handled it anyway. You could have been very broad. You could have been detailed. It was clear that you felt a need to let the world know what happened to you, not because you wanted your story to be told, but because you wanted to make sure that all the facts were known, right?
I wanted to verify their story and their truth because I'd seen it, so it was just more that than anything, the women, and I wanted the people to know.
A lot of physical abuse from what obviously, and I read in the stories that were reported from you, right, that you had talked about, correct?
My focus was more on the mental illness, which was dissociative identity disorder, DID, also known as multiple personalities, which is what was at play in front of the world, even at that point. So I wasn't trying to showcase the physical abuse as much as, there were physical threats. I'm not saying I was, physically abused that entire time I was in that relationship. That's not what it was. But it was his mental illness that we were seeing, on the screen at that time. And that was the cause of all of the kind of weirdness. And no one was pointing that out. Do you remember we had that discussion? I said, all they're talking about is the babies and this and the miscarriage, all of that stuff. I said, I don't need to tell that story. That story's been told. But the story I would like to share is, of his mental illness and how that's showing up in the world today, how it showed up in my relationship. So.
And I know that this is a big hot topic, especially these days but with mental illness sometimes comes domestic abuse. It comes these other things, especially when it's untreated, right? As a victim in a relationship with somebody that's such a public figure, it's got to only make it that much more difficult for somebody like him to go get help, right?
It's impossible.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure as a important person in his world, you were encouraging him to get help, because at the end of the day, right, you don't know what you don't know. But I, again, just want to say that there are so many people that I am sure read your story and what you did, and you gave them a voice. And I think that's so commendable. Were you scared though afterwards? I mean, you're dealing with somebody that obviously there was a physical element due to the mental illness. I understand that piece of it. Was there a part of you that was scared of blowback from it? Like when you went public with it?
Well, the reporter that I mentioned that I trusted, we developed a friendship and I trusted him. And he told me, he said, Cheryl, I guarantee you one thing. He said, as fast as this is blowing in, because it was just like that, he said, it will blow out.
And
it did.
It blew out. So no, your family did not, no threats, no anything. It was, you told your story and that was the end of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, so many people I feel like don't speak up. And this is an important point because they're afraid of the blowback of it all. Especially, again, your situation is different. It was a public figure, right? I think it's also important to highlight the fact that not only were you able to say your truth and be able to help these other women that may not have had as loud of a voice as yours, but you did so and you're still able to live your life thereafter. Like, has it changed the way that you guys have a relationship now or no?
No, not at all. In fact, it's interesting because one of our first, I guess maybe in the first month after we went viral, it was Tracie that encouraged me to go on, and because people were talking about it in our community and because they'd read about it in the news or they saw the interview, that kind of thing. And we weren't trying to go back there again, but we also didn't feel any reason to hide, And so she encouraged me to do a series and talk about it in depth. And she was sitting right there beside me. So, when you have that type of support and acceptance from your wife, you're not afraid of anything else. You're just not.
When did the relationship with Herschel end?
Oh, I don't know.
Year.
It started in 2004, so 2009, 10-ish.
Because he wrote a book, right? At some point about...
during our relationship, he wrote that book.
Okay.
I read the original manuscripts and... Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if you've read the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
What is your response to the book? Like, did you feel like the book was genuine? Did you feel like the book...
Well, with DID, It's hard to tell what's genuine. And not to make light of it all, because it's a devastating illness, mental illness. But there are many different realities inside someone who has multiple personalities. And that could have been, at
play. Yes.
Oh, it was at play. But that could have been one, there are multiple people inside, someone's mind. And so whoever wrote that book, and he had help doing it, there were ghostwriters and he told stories and they wrote. But that was the perspective of someone who was employed to come forward and take care of this book. That sounds a little weird, but that is exactly how it works. It's like a noisy classroom in their head. And one person has to come forward and teach, or lead the class, so to speak. So it's interesting. Can I talk about the book just for a second?
Yeah, because we don't want to put
Yeah. Well, I decided early on that it was important because I realized what was at play, and I started kind of documenting the day-to-day because I went to the bookstore and I was doing research to try to find books about DID, and there were books written by doctors, there were books written by different professionals, but there were no books, and there were books written by people that had DID. Well, that's skewed to begin with. And so I started documenting kind of like a Polaroid picture, a snapshot of what was going on every day, because the reality, the way it plays out, is very different than what's going on in their mind on any given day. And so there was nothing available, no resources available for people like me trying to navigate that environment. And so I wrote for 10 years. And it's at the Library of Congress now. I haven't done anything with it. And, we haven't decided what,
Sure, of course,
if we should even do anything with it. But the editor who worked with me for 10 years said, this is going to be a very important book in the library of DID because it shows the cracks, it shows the discrepancies, it shows their reality versus reality. Yeah.
Do you know why it's so important?
Why? What is so
Why
important?
that having that it will be so important in the overall scope of DID? Because so many people write off mental illness. They don't give a shit enough about the people that suffer it to care as much as you did to make those notes. Every note that you made in there was in not for yourself. It was because you cared. And I think that once people figure out somebody has some sort of mental illness, they write them off. It's true. I mean, we see it every day. Therapists write that, like people write them off. I will say that your handling of that, you get to know you so much in talking to you because you see that everything that you both do is done with such intention, but an intention only to do good, you know? And one of my questions for you today was, when's the book going to come out? Not that one. There's got to be a book coming at some point. We're going to get to that in a minute though. We're going to get to that in a minute. I want to talk about the aunties, right? So
before we transition to that, should I jump on to this part? Because I want to go back to like why we weren't speaking a lot about it initially on our social media, because it's very important to us that although that was a prior relationship that she had, this was our platform, this was our work we were building together. And while we weren't trying to diminish or hide the fact that she was very public with that interview, it's not the focus of our relationship. We have a whole marriage outside of that we didn't want to really just, so when people would comment or message or want her to talk about it, let's do a series where you just address everything and we get that, so people have their feel for it to understand, but that was not going to be the core focus of our relationship and our platform. So.
And to handle it that way is great because at the end of the day, to your point, your platform's your platform. It's Tracie and Cheryl. It's not Tracie, Cheryl plus somebody else or anything else. Again, everything you guys do is with such intention. And it's the right way because there's always a right way and a wrong way to do something. Ignoring, I always think, is the wrong way, right? So having the series not only created a little platform for you two to kind of address it, but it also allowed your listeners and your followers and your fans to be like, they actually care about us. They're doing this for us. You didn't do it for you. You did it for them. And I think that that's commendable too. The aunties though. No, thank you. The aunties though. Right? So Tracie Cheryl, AKA the aunties, one of your other lives. So I want to know how this came about. You read about you guys out there, people are like, whose aunt are they? And I'm like, no. But if you're not in the scope of the W, you might not know. So why don't you describe how you came to the aunties and how this, I know there's more than just women's basketball, but that's been getting a bunch of the attention. How this relationship between Tracie, Cheryl, the aunties, and women's basketball really came about.
That's a great question. Now, we both have always individually loved sports. We've gone to a lot of games together. But this season, we were like, okay, we really want to lean more into the W. And when Dallas, of course, landed Paige, we were very excited to have Paige. And so we were like...
You're welcome.
Yeah, right.
From West Hartford,
Thank
Connecticut.
you.
Thank you. For Paige.
And so we said, okay, I said, baby, we're going to go to the opening game to see Paige and see the Dallas Wings. And we went there and it was our thing to do together. It was different because neither one of us delved deeply into the W prior to, hearing their games. But it was like, this is going to become our thing. And so we went to that game and it was completely electric. We had so much fun. We met so many of our community members at the game, and we were like, we really want to do something to amplify women's sports because we saw this traction happening, but there's so much more to go, right? And so one game turned into, let's go to another one, and let's go to another one, and we just started having meetups at events, and so I met games, and then it just kind of spread from there. You want to add anything to that? I'll talk about our
We were just kind of laughing after that first game, and there was just so much response. So many of our followers were there. And we said, we need to get out more. Because we're at home behind the camera, and we don't even know what's going on. And we go creatures of habit. We go to the same restaurants. And so we go to this game and it was like, oh my God. Because around every corner it was aunties, just everybody. And that just happened organically. We didn't name ourselves the aunties. People just started calling us the aunties. So, yeah.
And so then we kind of started saying, well, let's go beyond Dallas. So we've done Dallas. We've gone to, met lots of players. Of course, it's home. So we love our team. And then we decided we were going to go to, just go on the road and just go to some different arenas. And we went to, our first one was New York, went to the Liberty. And they treated us well.
That
we had,
was so
backstage,
fun.
everything, tunnel fits. And then as the players were walking in, they started like flipping out, like, oh my, what are y'all doing here? And then we realized, okay, a lot of the players know who we are, which we didn't know.
And they said, we're watching every Friday night. Well, we don't know unless you say something. We don't know you're watching, right? And it was funny because the people who took us backstage and gave us the passes and all with the press, there were probably 10 or 15 people lined up on the wall, and we happened to be in the front of the line. And she said, now, when the players walk through, just make sure you don't say anything. Don't touch them. Don't, just like leave them alone, right?
They were touching you, right?
It was hilarious. The very first one that came through, she was like, stopped and hands on her mouth, and oh my God, came over to us, and she's just like beside herself. And so she went on through, and then the next one, same thing. And so they said, well, that's interesting.
And at the end of that game, one of the reporters for the W, cameraman, came and interviewed us, was like, how does it feel to be the most popular people at the game today? But again, it just shows you like the reach of social media. And what it also shows you is that people are looking for something. What do we offer? Like we're older. We've lived a little bit longer than a lot of the folks out there, different experiences, and they're looking for what it could be. What does hope look like? What could I aspire to? And I think that's a lot of the attention we receive from not only the W, but people across the country who follow us.
So not being biased with Dallas, we get it. You got Paige. That's what you get. But I know you've gone to tons of games throughout. What is your favorite team to go and watch? Again, it can't be Dallas. It can be the Sun. It can't be Dallas.
We love players.
All right, so who's your favorite player in the league right now?
Oh my gosh, we
Not
have
Dallas.
so
We
many.
can't even say one. We have favorite players on each team.
We can just name some of the players
All
because I think we've made some really good connections too. But we don't have a favorite team.
And you've had to meet them. That's the other piece.
Yes,
so
we've
not
met
only,
them.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So
Oh, no, that's
who these
why-
players are not only your favorite to watch, but you've met.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay, I will say first would be Tasha Cloud. We love Natasha.
Interesting, okay.
And her partner Izzy is one of our other favorites. Jalen Sherrod, who's now with Minnesota Lynx. She was with Liberty. We met her.
Precious.
Natasha Howard with the Fever. We love Tasha. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I know I'm not going to remember all of them. Who else did you say, baby?
You said Izzy?
I said Izzy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Tasha. And Jalen. Those are, but that's not all.
I know. You're putting us on the
Hold
spot.
on.
There's some more.
Cut.
And some we've only met like one
Hold
time.
on. Cut.
Hold on. Who is the one that, hold on. That we just saw. Her wife was on Basketball Wives.
Natasha.
But there's two Natashas there.
Natasha Howard. I just mentioned.
Okay. So both
And there
Natashas,
were a
yeah.
couple other from the Fever that I've not mentioned.
I can't remember.
Anyway,
I
those
can't
are a
remember
few.
the
How
names.
about the
I'd have to get out my.
Stud Buds? Have you met them?
We have not.
not
We
met
were supposed
them.
to go to the Lynx game when we left Connecticut. And then my wife was
got
getting
sick.
sick, and so we didn't go. But we've met Naya and Marina when we went to Connecticut, and we love them too. We actually met them in
Fabulous.
New York when we were at the New York game because they were playing.
And then we
Liberty.
went to see them in
and then went to go
Connecticut.
see them in Connecticut and met them, and they're great.
The Stud Buds talk about social following though. Like and crazy. There's shirts. Have you seen the shirts at games with the Stud Buds? Like I think it's everyone loves, and it's like the crazy writing for the Stud Buds. So haven't met them. Is there an agenda to meet them? You guys must collaborate.
That's what everyone
It would
keeps
be
telling
fun.
us.
Everyone
must
says
collaborate.
that. Yeah.
And we had connection with Minnesota. We were going to go. They were hosting us, but she ended up getting sick, and so we didn't get to go. But we hope that happens in the future. Oh, Liz, baby. We didn't mention Liz, who's now with the Aces. Dejanay, who's with the Lynx. We love them too. They're more,
Dejanay's
I'm
one
sure,
of my
we're just
favorite.
like,
We're a little
yeah.
sour about Dejanay here
Yeah.
in Connecticut. You know that, right? We loved her.
I know. We
And
love her too.
So, but you got to wonder, my biggest question with her is how can she see and shoot with the nails and the eyelashes? It's amazing. I mean, she looks beautiful.
Yeah, she
So
must practice
beautiful.
that way.
I mean, it's got to be. But I sit there and I'm like, how? I don't have nails, as you can see, and I will take my shots and maybe a third go in. But she's like precision, and she's so good, and she's beautiful, and we miss her so much in Connecticut. So
We miss her too.
We
That's
saw her
where we
when
met
came
her,
to the
was in
Connecticut
Dallas
game.
when we started. And almost immediately she was traded. Yeah. So, yeah.
So anybody that you've met in the W that you've kind of collaborated with, that you've had some fun with on social yet? Anybody?
Natasha Howard, we did a TikTok with her and her wife.
Awesome.
We did a TikTok with her and her wife, and I think that's the only one. Because we normally meet them like in the tunnel when they're about to go to the game or about to go practice or afterwards, so there's not as many opportunities. But Jalen is going to teach us our own handshake. We've not gotten it yet. So Jalen's going to give us our own handshake. We're waiting on that collab.
Speaking of collab, last week I'm preparing for the podcast, and I find this crazy eruption happening where one of your posts on, I think it was TikTok, was shared by Cardi B as her story. So what was it? I saw it, but what was it for those that haven't heard about it? And what do you think when you see that? I mean, do you understand how big of a deal that is? Like, you guys are so humble, but do you actually understand how exciting and amazing that is?
We know it is amazing. We play a lot, Brooke. We have fun. I have, I'm educated. I have my doctorate. I have all that, but I have a little hood in me. You gotta have a little ratchet. I got a little hood in me. So, I love my music. And so I was like, I'm going to learn Check Please. I learn a lot of other songs too. And I was just, playing and singing it. And my wife, I was practicing because I was going to sing it to her. She came up and caught me doing it. And then someone told us, like, Cardi liked your reel. So we saw, oh my God, she liked it. And then a couple of days later, like, oh my God, she reposted it. And we were just like, what? Okay, don't speak to me for the rest of the day because Cardi B reposted our reel. We just love it. We're just again showing up as who we are, having a good time. We're 52 and 64, and we still can have a blast, and that's just what we're doing.
You have more fun than I have, and I am not 52 or 64. You guys have more fun than I have. Like, I'm literally gonna have to go home and sit down with my wife and be like, we need to have more fun. Like with the aunties, we need to have more fun. Like, I don't know, Cardi B needs to share my things. I gotta tell you, like, I'm straight-laced in some ways. I need to get more ratchet. I feel like. I think I would be so much more fun. I think I would be so much more fun.
It doesn't even look right coming out of your mouth.
When you say that,
it's
really just, stepping into all of who you are. One thing that my wife said to me recently, which I think is hilarious and I love it, is she said, I'm so glad that you feel comfortable being all of you in front of me. And that's real because
it's true.
That's
even
when you feel safe.
As an interracial marriage,
that's what happens.
That's really important. I'm a Black woman, and there are specific things to me culturally that really are all of me that I like to show and share, music, food, and all of that. And she loves all of it. In fact, they say that you have more sister in you than I do, but I think I have
They
more.
say she's the sister and I'm the sister.
Not true though, but I think I'm more sister.
That's just what they say.
I didn't hear you sing Check Please, though.
No, I didn't.
She sang some other ones though.
All right, anyway,
yeah.
can you both sing? Like, do you guys have a decent?
No, we don't.
Not at
we
all?
Don't sing. No,
We just play.
we just play.
I sing.
But can you sing? Like, do you sing at home?
We sing, play
serenade you.
I think that
to someone's song.
Oh,
You lip sync.
I think if we
baby.
had Check Please coming from you, that thing would have went even more viral.
I was singing Check
That
Please.
wasn't you.
What do you mean?
That was your voice that was doing it?
Oh no.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was lip sync.
Oh,
We
That's
need
what
the
I'm saying.
voice.
When she said I serenade you, I said no. You lip sync me.
I'll give you my address for the royalties. It's fine.
that's a good idea. That's a
You
good idea.
you got because we all want to hear. You can do it. Can you do it
Yeah.
right now?
Yes.
Let's go.
Get it, baby.
Cardi B. This better not
me
only
get
be
some
the
water.
story. This better be everything.
Hold on. Excuse me.
Right? Public service announcement, Cardi B. Public service announcement, Cardi B. Here we go.
Get in character.
I've been feeling like a bad bitch all goddamn day. If you ain't my bitch, you just a bitch in the goddamn way. You said you die for your respect. Let's find out and see. And they say red bill. You cut that part out.
Deal.
Yeah, okay. That's all.
That was great. So,
I'm not in character in this, girl.
no, but we need to get you in character.
When I walked around
That's
the corner
deal.
and I saw her in character, that's why I
That's
went.
hysterical.
Yeah.
We need to get you in character. So we
Well,
need
it's like kind of weird. It's like different.
So let's talk about the book. Let's end with the book. There's got to be a book coming. There's got to be. So you guys have this fun life. It's going to be a bestseller. They're going to be fighting over, who's going to publish it and who's not. But what's the title?
Wife Talk Time.
Wife Talk Time. Okay. And what's the premise going to be?
Our story.
I think it's amazing.
And just the messages, that are consistent within our lives and our platform, and expounding on them, because we do a lot of talking. But when you have limited time, you don't get to really unpack everything. And that's one of the things that we do is a series. It's called Let's Unpack That. So it's going to be a Let's Unpack That with about 12 different topics.
I can't wait. Send me a book signed. Do I get one?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Tomorrow, somebody shares one of your posts and collaborates with you. Who do you want it to be? Anybody, anywhere. So Cardi B did it. Check her off, right? And now she's gonna do it again because this is even better. Check that one off too. But who's collaborating? Who's doing it?
I would say Queen Latifah.
I was just going to say that. We
That's
were
a
at the
good
game.
one. I
We were at
love
the
her.
game
She
right
follows
behind
us.
her.
We're
She was
ready
the
to go.
first big person that followed, really big person that followed us. And that was about a year into it, right? And then we sat behind her at the game. Where were we? New York or Vegas? New York? New York, yeah. We didn't get to meet her, but because they kind of whisked her away. But we'd like to meet her and collaborate with her for sure.
I love her. I'm a huge Christmas freak, and like when she played in the Christmas movie like several years ago, she's so dynamic and she's absolutely gorgeous, and she's amazing. I love her, and she can sing. All the boxes are being checked here. You guys should collaborate and do some sort of musical thing.
That'll be fun. We're
So
down.
how are
We're
we
down.
gonna set that up?
I don't know. Work your magic,
This will
girl.
go viral. We're gonna tag Queen Latifah, and she's gonna see it. Then she's gonna call all of us. I just want to meet her and tell her like how amazing she is and how beautiful she is. However, you guys do your thing.
Okay, we got it. We'll take it from here.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate you guys coming on. I think this was so great in so many ways, and I cannot wait until this one comes out and we see the response. I think it's going to be huge. So thank you for coming all the way from Dallas to our little state of Connecticut. And now we're going to fill your tummies with some pizza and show you why Connecticut's the pizza capital of America. So thank you.
I love that.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Of course.
you.
Yeah, thank you for being yourselves, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.